Okay, so picture this. Inside your body, right now, a silent battle is being waged. We're talking tens of thousands of miles of blood vessels. It's a conflict that can go completely unnoticed for decades, but its outcome? Well, it pretty much determines your health and longevity. So let's dive into this hidden world and really understand the silent war of vascular disease.
And we have to talk about it. Because, despite all of our amazing medical advances, vascular disease is still the #1 killer on the planet. That's a staggering fact, and it really just underscores how absolutely crucial it is to get what's happening inside our arteries.
The real challenge with this disease is just how sneaky it is. It's this chronic, progressive war of attrition that often builds up without a single symptom for decades. We're literally on a silent battlefield where the damage just accumulates long before we even know a fight has started.
So, the primary enemy in this whole battle is a process called atherosclerosis. Now, you've probably heard it called clogged pipes, right? Well, that is a massive oversimplification. This isn't a simple plumbing problem at all. It's an active, inflammatory disease where our own immune system gets turned against us.
So, to really get what's going on, we have to zoom in. I mean, way, way down to the microscopic level and actually watch the cascade of inflammation that kicks this entire process off. Okay, I know this looks complicated, but the process is actually fascinating. It all starts right here, when LDL, that's what we call bad cholesterol, slips through the inner lining of the artery. Our body sees this as an invader and sends in the cleanup crew, these immune cells called monocytes. But this is exactly where the body's good intentions go completely haywire. These immune cells, which are now called macrophages, they just start gorging on all that LDL cholesterol. They eat so much of it that they totally transform into what scientists call foam cells. And you can kind of see why from how they look. And here is the absolute key takeaway. These foam cells are the actual building blocks of the dangerous plaque. Our own defense mechanism has started building the enemy's fortress inside our arteries.
And this right here, this is what makes a plaque a ticking time bomb. It's not just about how big it gets, it's all about its stability. See, as the plaque grows, the foam cells inside start to die off in all these different ways. You can see a few of the technical names for those processes here. All of this cell death creates this unstable, gooey core. And if that core ruptures, it can trigger a catastrophic blood clot.
And that rupture, that's the moment when the silent, microscopic battle erupts into a full-blown medical emergency. This is where we see the devastating, real-world consequences of decades of hidden inflammation.
So when a plaque ruptures, the immediate danger is a blood clot. One of the most serious types is called a venous thromboembolism, or VTE. The risk for these things is so high, especially for people who are in the hospital, that clinicians use scoring systems just like this one to constantly check a patient's risk based on things like their age and how mobile they are, and then they decide on the best preventative measures.
Now, in patients with diabetes, atherosclerosis basically pours gasoline on the fire. The disease narrows those tiny blood vessels in the feet, which leads to really poor blood flow. And, as you can see in this vicious cycle, that means even a tiny cut can't heal properly. It can become a non-healing ulcer, which, when you combine that with nerve damage, can lead to infection and even amputation. It is just a brutal example of how this silent disease can have devastating, life-altering consequences.
For so many years, the problem was that we couldn't actually see this disease until it was way too late. But now, we're in the middle of a revolution in medical imaging that's finally allowing us to see the invisible enemy, to diagnose atherosclerosis long before it becomes a catastrophe. Modern imaging gives us this incredible window right into the artery wall itself. We are moving way beyond just seeing a simple blockage. I mean, just look at all these different techniques. We can now assess a plaque's structure, its composition, and even its biological activity, which basically tells us how inflamed and dangerous it is.
Just look at the difference here. A conventional CT scan, it measures the total energy passing through your tissue. But the newer stuff, like photon counting CT, it actually counts individual photons. That leap gives us much, much higher resolution with less radiation, letting doctors see the tiniest details of a plaque.
And here's another game changer, UT-MRI. Calcium has always been really tough to see on a standard MRI, but this technique uses these incredibly short echo times to make those calcified, hardened parts of a plaque visible, and it does it all without any radiation exposure. It's honestly like flipping on a light switch in a dark room.
So this ability to see the disease in such incredible detail is paving the way for the future of treatment. We're talking about a new generation of therapies designed to fight atherosclerosis not just at the surface, but way down at the molecular level.
For decades, the main strategy has been just lowering LDL cholesterol with drugs like statins. And don't get me wrong, that is absolutely essential. But it's not the whole story. As this quote points out, even in patients with perfectly controlled cholesterol, a significant risk remains. And what's driving that risk? It's the inflammation.
Realizing this has kicked off an incredible evolution in treatment. We are moving way beyond the foundation of statins. Now we're layering on totally new strategies. We're talking about therapies that directly target that inflammation. We're using RNA technology to literally switch off the genes that are causing the disease. And get this, we're even creating smart devices like bioactive stents that do more than just prop an artery open. They actually help it heal.
And this is just a fantastic example of where this is all going. Imagine the stent that not only opens up a blockage, but is also biodegradable. So as it dissolves, it releases magnesium ions that actively stop a key type of cell death, that same process we talked about earlier that makes plaques unstable. This helps stabilize the plaque and heal the vessel wall. It is a treatment that is both mechanical and biological. It's just amazing.
All of this brings us to one last really powerful question. For the first time in history, we have the tools to see and predict this disease not just years, but decades in advance. So the question is no longer just about how we treat a heart attack after it happens. It's about whether we can finally, truly shift from reactive treatment to real, personalized prevention and win the silent battle before it ever has a chance to turn deadly.